Hi, this is Jonathan Fields, host of The Good Life Project, where each week I talk to listeners about investing in their future by increasing their own vitality. But when it comes to those financial goals, whether it be saving for a home renovation, growing your child's college fund, or travel, life can make it difficult to stay the course. By working with a dedicated Merrill advisor, you get a personalized plan and a clear path forward. Having the bull at your back helps your whole financial life move with you. So when your plans change, Merrill's with you every step of the way. Go to ml.com/bullish to learn more. Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do? Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, member SIPC.
Explaining football to the friend who's just there for the nachos? Hard. Tailgating from home like a pro with snacks and drinks everyone will love? An easy win. And with Instacart helping deliver the snack time MVPs to your door, you're ready for the game in as fast as 30 minutes. So you never miss a play or lose your seat on the couch or have to go head-to-head for the last chicken wing. Shop Game Day faves on Instacart and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 grocery orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Other fees and terms apply.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
Surviving Sister Wives contains adult content that may not be suitable for Latter-day Saints or sinners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Sister Wives.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly. And here we are at Season 13, Episode 6, Flagstaff Flirtation.
So do we think they're talking about Meri and Kody being the Flagstaff Flirtation, or is it just the move in general?
There was no flirting going on between Kody and Meri.
I don't think so.
They have no chemistry and hate one another.
That's a form of chemistry, I guess. It's a reaction that's happening. I wouldn't say it's very good, not net positive.
They repel one another. Well, more so, Meri repels Kody, unintentionally. It was really sad, actually.
The beginning of the end. Well, the TLC description for this one is, blocked by some of his wives from moving to Utah, Kody pitches Flagstaff, Arizona. He takes Meri to look at land and starts to tell the kids. Mitch and Aspen prepare for the wedding, but some younger kids have a meltdown about moving.
They exaggerate.
Did they mean Gabe?
Nobody melted down. Everyone was fine. Everyone was too fine.
Well, here's the thing. Gabe is entirely justified in his concerns and in his assessment of the situation. Meltdown tends to imply that he's being unreasonable in some way, which I would highly disagree with. But let's hear that Carly episode rewrite description for this one.
Kody spends a platonic weekend with Meri in Flagstaff. Robyn loses her cool when the angel stops singing to Kody at Coyote Pass. Gabe protests the move by wearing his Edward Cullen Commitment Ceremony wristcuff.
That's a tough one to say.
I was really worried about getting through it.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Man, but he wasn't kidding. He pulled that thing out of storage, whatever desk drawer he had that buried in.
I feel like he threw it out. He had to go ask Dayton to go get one out of Robyn's box of a million My Sister Wives Closet objects that are rotting.
All the leftovers.
Yeah, I don't think they kept them. Stored them like a treasure.
No sentimental value attached to that article of clothing.
No, he held on to it for the moment where he could use it in spite. Announcements? I feel like we need to have a little bagpipe introduction to the announcements this week.
Why?
Do you not remember Mitch and Aspen's part of the episode?
You
blocked it out already, huh?
I have no trouble with the recollection that took place in this episode. Why would we be doing that as part of our announcements?
Why not? I think it would be fun. This is where you insert the clip of the bagpipes.
I'm not a TLC editor.
Can you make the bagpipe sounds? Just make them.
You want me to vocalize bagpipe sounds for the announcement section?
You are over 35% Scottish.
This is a big ask, though. Hold on, I have to puff my air into them first. You were complaining about how your headphones are too loud, so get ready for some bagpipes. I have to warn you, it's going to be loud. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Hold on. I got to see what I can come up with here.
Scotland the Brave, please.
I'm upsetting Maisie. I have to stop. Was it pretty good?
It was pretty good.
That was pretty close. Maisie is all over my leg right now. She's like, "Are you okay?" No, I'm not. I wasn't expecting to do that today.
Oh my God, I'm in tears. Thank you. Thank you for...
Welcome to the announcement section, I guess, for Carly's sake. That's what we're doing.
Jazzing them up this week.
Okay.
What do we have to say? Oh, very important announcement. We are going to be recapping Lifetime's premiere of Sister Wife Murder in our next Let's Talk About It episode on Patreon.
It's going to be a big one. It premieres this Saturday.
It is based somewhat, kind of, maybe a little bit on somewhat true events that may or may not have actually taken place.
Ripped from some headlines that they then smashed together into one weird kind of semi-coherent story. And we're going to talk about it.
I'm sure it's going to be terrible, which is what's going to make it fun to talk about.
So set your DVR. Yeah, don't miss it. You got to be part of that experience so then you can get the full experience of the recap, as always. Even though there's plenty of people who say, I don't even watch the things from the Let's Talk About It. I just listen to the recaps and enjoy them. So it's up to you.
Viewership not required?
Yeah, choose your own adventure here.
What else? Let's talk about upcoming TLC programming. Welcome to Plathville is back for season 5. Can you believe that?
I can't.
I don't feel like we've watched 5 seasons of that show, but we have.
It's been happening.
Well, we've watched 4. We're going to watch 5.
Yeah, it's going to be 5.
That starts on July 16th. We are very excited and we are planning to recap it, and we will know more about that next week.
So stay tuned for our announcement regarding the Plathville recaps next week.
We still don't know when Sister Wives will be returning, but we do know that Forbidden Love is a new series that is starting Sunday, July 21st at 10 p.m., which again is the Sister Wives time slot that they've always had. So I'm thinking a September premiere at the earliest. Unless
they change the night and or the time when they're going to be viewing this. But I don't know why they would change the Sister Wives time slot.
I don't think so. We're on 19 seasons. We've been on Sunday night.
They seem to be doing all right. Yeah, they're carrying an audience pretty consistently, where viewership was down for, what was that, 13, 14, 15, even into 16 a little bit. But the last few have been on the up and up.
Well, and as of the time of recording, I do not see a bunch of Sister Wives episode in the schedule for airing on TLC. Usually, they start pushing all of the last season episodes. They'll do marathons of the last season before they start a new one for a show. So you start to notice that something's coming back, and you can kind of tell that there's an imminent announcement. And I see just a few episodes. The first maybe 5 or 6 episodes of the last season are in there, but not everything yet.
And then usually by the time a trailer drops, you're only like a month out from the new season, because that's basically what they did with Plathville more recently. Just a couple of weeks ago, they dropped the trailer, and that's starting up next week.
So we will continue to wait.
And remember, as always, if you like what you're hearing, bagpipe impersonations aside, be sure to swing on over to patreon.com/survivingpod. Sign up for the Patreon. You'll get access to the Rewatch Archives, seasons 1 through 12, as well as get your weekly episodes ad-free. Plus, there's over 100 Let's Talk About It episodes to peruse through at this point as well.
Plenty of content to listen to if you're, say, on a weekend trip driving to Flagstaff, Arizona.
And you don't want to talk to Meri while you're driving there. Load up on the podcast.
Let's get this pony in the water, because this is a good episode. I remember season 13 being a real pooper, but going back and rewatching it, I'm enjoying it immensely. What about you?
Well, I guess, yeah, hindsight is 20/20 for most people, But I feel like there are a lot of very blatant things that are happening that people still ask questions about to this day.
It's because nobody wants to rewatch this season.
I feel like this is one that gets skipped a lot, or people run out of energy as part of their rewatch, and then they just lose interest, or they're completely burned out by the time they get to these episodes again.
Well, you also have to pay attention for almost 2 hours, which is not easy. Let me tell you, taking the notes on this is grueling.
It's a big ask. Hour and a half. You keep saying 2 hours, but we're not throwing in commercial breaks on Max. We're doing all right.
I feel like they owe me the extra time.
No.
Not as bad, though, as Married at First Sight notes that are the same amount of time.
Well, that's because those were so boring.
I know, moved really slow.
Very, very slow. But not this one. Not today. Well, we start off with some of the same stuff that we've already heard. Kody's kind of regurgitating the storylines to us to catch us up to speed. He's still kind of tiptoeing around the move, though, with the wives, is his general assessment. Even though he's forcibly pushing it on them, but it's still being proposed as a fun, adventurous thing to do.
They're contradicting themselves all throughout this episode because it seems like they very much decided they're moving and that they're moving to Flagstaff, but then they're acting like it's not a foregone conclusion.
We still need everyone to sign off on it, even though we're pretty much moving there. We're already in the process of moving there. But this is the stuff where they're blatantly telling us, Kody is telling us Vegas has an aggressive energy and they want to move someplace where they can feel safe again. I don't think people are giving this enough credit when they're telling us why they wanted to move out of Vegas.
It happens all throughout this episode.
Repeatedly. So for people to speculate and come up with the different reasons of why, Robyn had already had Dayton accepted and applied to college in Flagstaff. I don't know if that was entirely the case, especially once we found out that they do rolling admissions where they do acceptances a little bit later. They don't have that strict deadline at the beginning of the year like most other schools. But the fact that, there's theories that have gone as wild as the city of Flagstaff is paying Kody Brown and the family to move to Flagstaff to advocate about how beautiful of a town it is, to encourage people to visit and move there. I think that's a little far-fetched.
The tourism board of Flagstaff,
The tourism
Arizona.
board of Flagstaff, Arizona reached out to Kody Brown and family and said, we will pay you to move to Flagstaff.
Be our spokespeople, please.
Whatever they paid you, it wasn't enough because you haven't had enough money left over to do anything with this land in the past few years. I don't think that's a realistic option at this point.
My vote is always the simplest thing is probably the answer. Something scary happened. Robyn doesn't like scary things. She decided she didn't want to be in the scary place anymore. She asked Kody to move her someplace that was safe and that her baby bird going to school could be safe, and they found Flagstaff, Arizona.
And now it is their job and responsibility to convince everyone else in the family that it is also their idea to move to Flagstaff, Arizona this season. So we start seeing some mental gymnastics and manipulation on full display because we're meeting up at Christine's house along with Gwen and Isabel and the rest of the wives and Kody. I think it's all of the adults and then Christine's older kiddos to talk about moving to Flagstaff, to recount Christine's recent trip to Flagstaff.
And Robyn is chomping at the bit. She is so excited to hear what Christine has to say because then she doesn't have to impose her opinion on the group. So she's going to let Christine do that for her.
Christine has taken photos that she is ready to share. She has prepared a slideshow presentation of her own, probably.
Well, and you know that when Christine gets excited about something, you can just sit back because she's going to do all of the cheerleading for you.
Well, she's going to need some assistance, though, because it sounds like she did pick up a bit of a cold. She's feeling a little under the weather. Maybe that's why Robyn took COVID so seriously when they did move to Flagstaff, because the illness...
It already started just from a weekend visit?
Oh, yes. A plague upon this house. Just from stepping foot in Flagstaff. We have to be careful here. But Flagstaff is so beautiful, and it smells so good. And no, the Board of Tourism of Flagstaff did not pay me to say that. I'm just telling you what Christine has been saying about it. This sounds like a get an air freshener, get a candle type of a situation if you want to smell pines.
They're really obsessed with the smell of pine trees. I understand that there are not many trees in Vegas. That's seems to be a big issue they have with it.
Which we hadn't heard about in the 5 years that they've lived here. Didn't know that that was such a big issue until this exact moment when now we are ready to move. But I think the real issue here is that Coyote Pass is the promised land. And that's where we're supposed to be. That's where God wants us to be.
Who said that?
Robyn and Kody.
All right. I was going to say, Robyn, I think, said something later on in the episode about how she'll wait to see where God tells her they're supposed to be.
And by God,
but she already knows.
She means Kody when she's talking about God. Well, she's talking about,
I think Cody's ideas are not original.
the neck that turns the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We know.
Janelle's getting excited. She's starting to ask questions now because she was just waiting for everyone else to start to buy in on it because she is ready to pack the car right now and move to Flagstaff.
Which is weird because she was so against it.
It has all the things she loves. It's her dream destination.
The way that Christine and Kody were selling Flagstaff too was how it's a very happening small town. It has every store you could want to go to, which I think those aren't really top of the tier list things for Janelle to really convince her on. I think those were more directed towards Meri to convince her. Because I feel like this was the plan. They're using Christine's whole theory is that when two sister wives agree on something, then it's fact. And I think that's what Robyn and Kody have been counting on. Robyn and Kody came up with the plan to move to Flagstaff, and now they knew they just need to convince one other sister wife. So then that way we can be the majority and then force the other two people into moving. Because Meri is always at the bottom of all of these lists that we put together now. So Christine is desperate enough and trying to make things work with Kody where she'll go ahead and do that. So she's going to be the first one to agree with us, and then everything else will fall into place after that.
If you had to pick one of the three remaining wives, I would have taken Christine first as well because she gets so enthusiastic about things.
Like how the high school doesn't look like a prison.
Okay, that also seemed like a strange statement. That doesn't have Gwen and Isabel convinced, though, because they're leaving a lot behind. They have achievements in school. They have their friends. Isabel is really concerned about how much money they spent on the backyards and the fact that they're going to just up and leave now.
It's the sunk cost fallacy again, too. Yeah, it's this entire family is consumed with this ideation.
Like, did they take her allowance money to pay for it? Because she seems really invested in the amount of work that was done there.
Maybe we could have saved a portion of it to clean some of Christine's walls. I get it. There's a lot of kids in this house. There's a lot of people roaming through this building. I understand. We know the cameras are coming in. Can we clean the schmutz off the wall right behind Isabel's head, right behind Kody?
Wait, was this Christine's house?
In these scenes, yes. Christine's walls are just covered in stuff. I don't know what it is. Tomato sauce? I hope.
I've noticed it at Janelle's house, too, over her trash can. The wall behind the trash can. Just, hit it with a Clorox wipe. You're going to need a lot of those soon.
A Mr. Clean magic eraser, but test it on a spot that you can't see at first.
They're not going to paint anyway.
She's
they don't
not
care.
going to do it, yeah. They're not going to clean before they paint. They're just going to paint right over it, which is great.
Christine's trying to soften the blow of this whole thing by telling them, don't worry, this time you can tell your friends that we're going to move. Remember how last time we just moved overnight and we didn't tell anybody? You just never came back to school? You don't have to do that. So isn't this so much better of a move?
That is better. Yes, you've got me there, Mom and Dad. Gosh, yeah, because they flash back to Kody making that announcement with the 3 days notice. And then, oh, by the way, this is extremely important. Guess what? You can't tell anybody.
Like, what was she trying to say? This will be marginally less traumatic than the last time. So get excited.
But then Isabel's like, let's see, because what's the living situation gonna be like when we get there? Are we talking separate houses, similar setup as the cul-de-sac? Are we talking one big house? What are we doing here?
That really piques Cody's attention.
Well, Kody has to pretend like he doesn't have a preference very quickly. Well, what would you like the living arrangements to be, Isabel? And of course, she's like, not one big house, anything but that, pretty much, I think would be good.
He must not have heard that answer because We know that when they have the Biggie Housey pitch, Christine comes back to Kody and says, my kids said that they don't want the one house. And he refuses to accept that the children are the ones who are not excited about it and thinks that it is all her.
Well, Kody has to keep pretending that he doesn't want one big house. But Janelle even says in her aside interview, she suspects that Kody would prefer one house. She's got that feeling. He's already talking about how much money he'll save in construction alone.
She's known him for a long time. She can tell what's going on. Why do you think the Biggie Housey is such a topic?
It's Robyn's dream.
Definitely.
This is the push. Yeah, this is Robyn and Kody making a decision and dragging everybody else along.
I kind of think that Robyn wants one big house because she believes that she hasn't been able to forge relationships with her sister wives in the cul-de-sac.
Ooh, that's a good excuse. Or that's the excuse that she's been giving Kody, that she's been complaining about. And then Cody's solution to fix that for her is, oh, well, then I'll force everybody into one big house then.
Well, it can never be anything that's wrong with Robyn.
Right.
So it must be something with the situation. And the other wives had all these years of living in one house together. And that's why they have these close, loving relationships that she's jealous of.
That they're struggling through therapy, kind of, when they have time and it's available for the resources of filming a season. I feel like that is a perpetual excuse that Robyn would go to, because for someone who talks about comparison being the thief of joy, Kody really lets Robyn get away with complaining and comparing what the original 3 wives had before she entered the family.
Comes up constantly.
All the time.
I also think that maybe she's realized she can't hide Kody at her house forever. And that kind of comes up in this conversation.
A little bit. Yeah, because Janelle was talking about how, well, it started off with Christine and Meri were talking about how they're nervous about renting, going back to a renting situation when they moved to Flagstaff, because that was just miserable. It was terrible. Meri's suspecting probably 2 years, maybe more, before they all get back together again on lots that are close like this.
Because that's what they did last time.
That's about how long it took. So, I mean, that's not an unreasonable guess. And this is, 2018? So they don't even know what's coming. Might be a little bit longer. But Janelle had talked about how she mentioned she didn't see Kody much. Nobody did. I don't know if maybe she was talking about the cul-de-sac at that time, but I think they were gearing that more towards it was the rentals when they were in separate neighborhoods. And
she was talking about the past.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like. But it hit a nerve for Kody. Because then he chimes in and says, and points at Christine, and says, she still says she never sees me.
Well, she kind of probably doesn't.
No, because you don't come to her house.
Yeah.
I wonder if at that moment, Meri and Janelle were thinking,
oh, he's not at my house either.
We know he's not at Meri's house.
Interesting.
Although they did have a renaissance between Kody and Janelle, so maybe he was spending a reasonable amount of time in her home for the most part.
Well, I just like how Robyn had to dust off her acting chops and pretend like that was a challenge too, because whenever it was the day that Kody wasn't at your house, if it wasn't a night that he was staying the night, then you didn't really see him that much. And that was a big challenge for her.
Which is why he now spends every night at her house.
And she will not let that happen again. I did like that Kody was joking about, well, we can just always throw some tents up on some property, which you're not too far off from an RV. Janelle knows that drill.
They were just there, and it is still snowing, and it is almost May.
It is May.
So, no, we're not putting camping tents up on Coyote Pass.
I don't think that on Coyote Pass?
Did I say Coyote Pass?
Coyote Pass.
Whatever they end up naming it. They don't know where they're going yet.
But look, prices are a big concern because Meri wants to circle back on this conversation. I remember a big part of the presentation. I still have my printed handout that you provided me, and a couple of those slides were pretty heavy on the retirement aspect of how this financial situation is so dire that we need to sell these houses and liquidate the only assets that we have in this world so we can put that all into soon to be one big house in Flagstaff. But how are we going to afford that? Because cost of living in Flagstaff, the land, the houses, building there, It's all more expensive than Vegas.
That's why I don't believe that this was ever about money. He's very quickly forgotten. Well, he doesn't forget because he acknowledges that the prices are very high and that they're probably not going to save any money by moving to Flagstaff. And then he doesn't do his due diligence with how much money it would cost to build all these houses and all the things that they need to do to this land that doesn't have running water to it, doesn't have electricity. I just don't think that seems like someone who's concerned about saving every penny for retirement.
Well, you know what it was? It was because Kody spent some time in Flagstaff, and it was just, quote, so yummy.
Yeah, okay, can we not use the word yummy out of context of food?
Well, now we know why he resonated so much with Pat, their delicious therapist.
Gross, I really like it. Sends like chills at my back.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't recommend it.
I kind of think it's because Robyn's not the saving kind of gal.
Yeah, because we get Robyn's rundown about the differences between their saving strategies and retirement portfolios.
Their philosophies on money.
There's a spending versus saving, because saving's good and all, but you know what's better than saving for Robyn? A little bit of spending.
But again, she was the first one who spoke up during the presentation and said, well, if now's the time to get the equity out of these houses, we can't deny that. It must be the time to go.
She's seeing a payday, is what she's seeing.
All right.
She's seeing dollar signs, and she's saying, yeah, let's lock this in and get that in our pocket for now. Well, not even in our pocket. Let's get it into this hand so then it can go into this hand, the other hand, and then right out the window.
She's got a lot of things on layaway at QVC.
We're moving quick here because she starts talking in code because nobody in this family can say anything outright. The reason why everyone is still so confused about the particular motivations for them to move out of the cul-de-sac in Vegas is because they didn't really address things directly. They speak in vagaries a lot. Robyn starts throwing around this term quality of living, this definition that she has that's very important to Robyn, but she will go into no further detail to explain it. There are some things that are worth it. It's worth the money. It's worth going into debt over if it improves your quality of life, her quality of life specifically.
We get no conclusion from this conversation. Just everyone knows Flagstaff's going to cost a lot more money than Vegas does, that they're going to be spread out into separate homes, which doesn't seem like it's going to help their relationships. And it'd probably take a really long time before they could actually build the houses or perhaps one big home that nobody wants to live in.
I think those were all Meri conclusions that she reached, where she listed off everything that's wrong with this move so far because she loves her life in Vegas. She likes her house. She likes where they are. It's close to Utah, but it's not Utah. It's all of these different things that they've stipulated that they want in a perfect space for her. Yet she's the only one who's calling any attention to this. All these other things that are going to be part of that decision, it doesn't matter.
I think the catfish woke her up. She's really attuned to red flags now.
She's dialed in.
And nobody's going to listen to her.
No, absolutely not.
Guess who is back? We have Mona, who is one of the only real estate agents in Vegas, I guess.
Probably.
But not their listing agent?
That's what's weird to me, is that if she was your buying agent, you're going to use her to sell your house
No,
too?
they're not going to use her to sell the house.
That's then maybe her contract or her release that she had signed with the production team is still valid. And so they called her back to be on camera to walk through and pretend like she's helping these people out.
No, I don't remember if she ends up listing the houses for them. I just know it takes them forever to sell them. And at one point, Janelle
was listing.
Yes. I believe that they just had her come through to offer them some sage advice on what they needed to do to prepare the houses.
Well, here's what's crazy about this conversation is to involve Mona in this discussion between Kody and Christine when clearly they have no idea what the plan is or what needs to be taking place. They are just throwing around dates and timelines that may or may not align with reality, and Mona is confused as hell. She has no idea what these people's goals are. Their plan is to move immediately, but also stay around, but also have options. If we do tend to sell it, we just want to get it on the market so it can sell when it's applicable to us. We don't want it to sell too soon, though, because then we still need a place to stay.
But we got to list it as quickly as possible. But then we also should probably do some repairs and things so we could get our top dollar.
And also, there's a wedding in June.
We got to be here for that.
Tons of stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with selling a house that they are bombarding Mona with. And she's like, guys, I don't know how to help you with any of that. I don't know what you want me to fix in your life, but there is very little I can help you with out of all the things that you've discussed so far.
The most shocking thing is Mona claims that these houses will sell within 30 days. Once they list them, they'll be out in a month.
So was this all just a gambit on Christine's part? Because she was kind of against moving, to say the least, initially. And now, is this her way to scare Kody into the reality of moving, of how quickly things are going to go, how wildly unprepared they are for all of these things that they're supposed to be doing?
I honestly don't think that she's able to mastermind a plan like that. I think that he has made his promises to her about the future being bright, and she has gotten on board. And this is how she tries to gain Kody's approval or acceptance or love, is that she has to be the most enthusiastic about moving.
Well, so this is where Kody's getting upset too about Christine talking about listing her house, putting it on the market. We haven't even decided on Flagstaff. Technically, I still have 2 wives who need to go sign off on it. Granted, it's Meri and it's Janelle, but their votes still kind of count.
I will add, let's think about what ends up happening with Christine and how she purchases a home because she knew that she maybe wasn't going to be sticking around and she wanted to have something she could cash out on. Maybe she's listing her house first because she wants to get the money in her hand so she can use it for her own home in Flagstaff to avoid what she's afraid of, which is ending up stuck in this family or stuck in one big house, which would be her ultimate nightmare.
That could very well be it. But now it's becoming Kody's nightmare that Christine's talking about moving by July 7th. And he's like, whoa, 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 I'm not ready for that. And Christine's like, well, I don't care if you guys do, because not everybody needs to move by July 7th, but it would be best if I move by July 7th. So if Christine couldn't stay in Vegas while the rest of the family moves to Flagstaff, I guess her new goal is she's going to move to Flagstaff and leave the rest of the family in Vegas.
Well, let's remember, too, the kids have to start school in August. So maybe we give them a couple weeks to adjust, unpack, set up their rooms, go school shopping, get used to the reality of having moved to this new place. Or how about we just do in a clusterfuck and we move in a weekend and nobody's organized and everybody's stressed out and upset and then they can start school on Monday.
Well, honestly, this was another point, too, that raised even more red flags for me about this move was it would make more sense for Christine to be the only one to list her house. Basically, what I'm saying is listing all of the houses in the cul-de-sac at the same time is probably the worst thing you can do for a pricing option.
I'm sure the neighbors were upset because they ended up selling these houses for a lot less than they listed them for, too. That can, tank somebody's home value a bit.
Well, because, you're flooding your neighborhood market.
Yeah.
And then, honestly, the best thing would have been to sell them off one by one, list them accordingly, but they were just go, go, go. We have to get this done.
Why don't we rent them? If we're not sure if we're going to like living somewhere else, because Kody threw that out, we could always move back.
Regrettably, he brought that up.
Yeah, well, it comes up later on.
Yeah.
But we don't have to sell the house. I mean, they do need the money. Let's admit it. They're going to buy property. They need the money.
Yeah,
they have money in the bank.
They have no other assets. They have no other money in the bank. But honestly, renting wouldn't be the worst option for them. They would be terrible landlords, one. But what I'm saying is, I don't think anybody can run these houses into the ground more than they already have been, because we get a little walkthrough assessment from Mona, just a quick flyby, reactionary glance at everything, a once-off overview. And Mona's assessment is kind of going through, it's very cluttered. There's a lot of personal stuff. We got to stage it if you want to sell it.
She looked at the horrible photo collage that Christine has going up the stairs and was like, Let's get rid of all the personal things.
This has got to go. This is all this stuff. It's just, they're crooked anyway. Just take them down. Don't put them back up. The furniture in the living room, very cluttered. Too much stuff.
Paint everything. The landlord special.
Paint the smallest walls that you can find. This small wall right when you walk in at eye level that you can get close to and examine. Paint that one. Don't worry about any of these other walls that you have schmutzed up all over the living room and splattered with Hot Pocket innards and God knows what else.
Hopefully they've learned, like maybe they're on Clean Talk now. No, you don't think they're washing their walls?
I don't think so.
Something to look into. Someone send him a mop.
You know what? Maybe Mona was like, oh, you know what you should do? You should put together a scrapbook of Sister Wives articles and press clippings that you have accumulated of your media coverage over the last few years. I think that would really add some value right on the hearth here in the living room.
I could not believe the part where they walk to the backyard and Kody asks Mona what they should do about the concrete where they put all their hands and made the family tree.
Well, they just sunk all this money into Christine's landscaping in her backyard, which she promptly tells Mona as soon as they step in the backyard, oh, everything gets really wild and overgrown here. Maybe don't bring that up. If you're trying to sell this house, don't advertise that. I wouldn't have that be the first thing that you mention to people that you bring into the backyard about how
pain in the ass, the maintenance,
how horrible the maintenance and overwhelming it is often. Don't do that. Kody's already getting overwhelmed just at painting a few bits of wall and tightening up a kitchen sink that has gone unattended for years now at this point, probably. He's not even going to do any of this work and he's overwhelmed.
He's trying to figure out how they're going to chisel the family tree out of the backyard patio.
That's the priority. But Mona has a more sensible solution here. You better grab a camera and take some photos because I think it's staying here.
Also, remember that? Does anybody recall the day that we did that and we said we were putting down roots?
Do you know how many symbolic trees we planted, produced, created, consumed because they ate the cake that was literally a tree? How many things did we do symbolizing that we were putting down roots and that we were staying here forever? What are we doing? What is happening?
We spent a whole season planning the commitment ceremony, which was for that purpose.
We went back and watched the commitment ceremony episode, and let me tell you, watching that back to back with this episode was very enlightening.
The thing that really sends Kody over the edge, though, is when Mona tells them they're probably going to have to put walls up between the backyards. The buyers are going to want that. So prepare to have that be something that you agree to at closing.
Kody's concern there is that, wow, that's really going to make it feel like they're not our homes anymore. And it's like, yeah, bud, wait until you sell them. They're really going to feel like they're not yours anymore because you sold it and it's not yours anymore. Is that sinking in? Is that making sense?
No, not at all.
Not yet.
Mona's coming in hot with the questions that make everyone uncomfortable. Well, what is your living arrangement going to be when you move? Are you going to have another cul-de-sac? What are you going to do?
Nobody knows. Well, some people know. Kody and Robyn know, but they're not allowed to talk about it yet.
Christine tells him, look, it's a cul-de-sac or it doesn't work. We might as well not even move.
That would have been the best answer. Yes. And I think that's what Mona was trying to steer you towards. Are you going to be able to replicate exactly what you have here with this living situation and your guys' credit scores? Have they improved over the last 5 years? Probably not.
Everyone is telling him no, and he's not listening.
I wish they would have flashed back to some of the commitment ceremony footage at this point. But instead, we got hit with the only time that Kody felt at home in Vegas, where he felt like the cul-de-sac was his home officially, was when he ran the perimeter of the empty lots before they had even built the homes, which I guess, is that why Coyote Pass feels more like home to him now? Because it's just an empty lot that he gets to run around on?
I think he just likes empty pieces of land where he can pretend that it's whatever it is he wants.
It's the limitless possibility that he likes, but he doesn't want to put the work into it.
Well, and it's what everybody wants because they're all imagining what they want in their mind.
Because he can't build what he wants because then it won't be what other people want. And then that will shatter the illusion. And then the reality takes over and we can't have that.
They're pretending they all have the same dream, but they each have their own. We have to get to this trip to Flagstaff with Meri because it was a treasure trove. I don't think that Kody wanted to go on this trip.
I don't think so either. And I think his next plan was to take Janelle, but then I think Janelle probably told him in private, I don't want to go unless Meri signs off on this because it's just going to be a waste of time.
Oh, she knows that Meri's going to crush her dream, whatever it is.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to get her hopes built up for it at all. She's going to send Meri because Meri is terrified of snow, apparently. She does not like snow at all.
Unfortunately, snow is in the forecast for this weekend.
Very much so. And that is the first thing that Kody lets her know about when he comes bopping into her kitchen. Luckily, she's not changing a light bulb.
Or in the bathroom, because he's done that before.
He has done that before. Yeah, not great for the road trips. But Meri's been in this house for 5 whole years. It's the longest she's ever lived in one residential location since she's been married to Kody. Home is where the Kody is. So that's why she's got to fall in love with Flagstaff now.
Right off the bat, you can tell he doesn't think that she is as enthused about this trip as she should be. Maybe that's because Christine has gotten so on board that by comparison, nobody can be quite as excited as her. But it just seemed like a crappy way to start the trip because he thinks she's the naysayer of the group.
He knows that she is. She's the only one who's speaking logically with reason and questioning things that she should be questioning.
That's dangerous in this group.
They don't like that. I will call out because, again, I am going to push that they are telling us why they're moving without outwardly expressing why they are moving. When they first hit the road and they're leaving Las Vegas, they cut to B-roll footage of the Mandalay Bay. That's not an accidental thing that they dropped in. Of all of the footage that you have of this entire drive and everything that's been going on,
it's so symbolic. They're driving out of Vegas. They're leaving Vegas and they are driving past the Mandalay Bay. Come on.
Production showing it to you. This is the storyline. This is the narrative.
Well, this is storytelling. That's how you tell a story, even if you don't have someone saying it in words.
Well, yeah, because nobody in this family is going to overtly say these things. So even though production might know the reasons why, they're trying to convey it in other ways that they can.
Meri's probing for information about Flagstaff. He's only told her about trees. She's heard a lot about them. Can you tell me something else? It's pretty and the climate is just right.
Yeah, we get the whole backstory of how he landed here, which was when he was trying to figure other ways to escape Las Vegas, where they were going to end up. And then Robyn basically told him to dream big. Why are you going to pick some other place to settle for that you're going to want to move in 5 years? If you can pick anywhere in the world to move, why wouldn't you move to Flagstaff, Arizona?
Well, she said pick the most beautiful place you can find.
But we know that Kody has probably already told her at some point that Flagstaff was the most beautiful place he'd ever been. Because it sounds like Cody's been there a few times for, maybe if it was for work or in surrounding areas or something, but he had been there. And so he was familiar with the area, at least, before they started looking into purchasing land or buying homes.
I'm sorry, did this man use the word yummy to describe Flagstaff twice in this episode?
Multiple times.
Okay, because I have the note about this being a yummy town to rekindle their relationship in.
This town is so yummy, and he's hard selling it because, yes, that is how he is referring to this. What a place to rekindle a relationship, huh, Meri?
Poor Meri. And she's starting to bite because she's looking around at this downtown area, and she's thinking, I could live here.
She likes it. She's a downtown kind of gal.
She doesn't know how far out they're going to drive yet, but driving through town, it's looking pretty good.
She does not know. Yes, this is very far from the property.
They haven't even stopped the car yet. The wheels have continued to turn since they've left Vegas. And he's already asking her to commit to if she can live here.
So what do you think? Yeah? Is this the spot for you? Is this
good? Is the trip over? Can we turn around and go home? Maybe we don't have to stay. I can cancel the hotel.
They didn't even look at any of the properties. Are you good to move here based on this? Just are driving through the downtown area that we're not going to actually be close to? Is that okay with you?
He immediately fucks things up, though, because they get to the hotel and they walk in. First of all, this room, the way it was designed, evil, because Meri can't see the bed until she comes around a corner.
Gets closer to the camera. Got to get that reaction shot.
And then, lo and behold, there are 2 double beds in this room.
Womp womp. Maybe 2 queens? Is it 2 queens?
It ain't one bed, that's for sure.
It's not a king. This is all while Kody is explaining to us how Nancy helped Kody and Meri realize how much they'd been going through and how what they need most is a slow, gentle courtship. So that's what they're doing.
That is not what they're doing. He's keeping her at arm's length. The biggest sigh comes out of her when she sees the beds.
She is disappointed.
Yes.
Very much so. Huh.
No, she seemed crushed.
Yeah.
She really thought that they were going to go on this trip and assumed that they would just sleep in one bed.
Well, yeah, she made an assumption, and then she asks, which bed do you want? That's what she says. After her heavy sigh, she asks him, well, which bed would you like? And he says, I don't care, because I think what that means is whatever one you're not picking.
Yes.
It does not matter which one you pick, because mine will be the other one.
She should have thrown her luggage on top of the other bed.
Oh, yeah, that would have done it for me.
There you go. We can't sleep there now.
Can't do it. Don't go rustling around in those sheets.
You know, some people do that when they get a hotel room. You get the spare bed because that's your bed to hang out on. You sit on that bed, you watch TV, eat your room service. That's the bed you dirty up, and then you sleep in the other bed.
Right. You could tell Meri is in a shitty mood because then Cody's next suggestion is to just go get some food. So she's on board with that, but you could tell she's upset.
Yes. And this is where he's going to get annoyed with her because she's not going to say anything about it, but she's going to act shitty.
Oh, yeah. She's going to be very upset. So she goes out the door with Kody, and Meri's been wearing some very flowy Stevie Nicks type shawls this episode.
Yeah, they're definitely from LuLaRoe.
Okay. Well, I mean,
they had a moment selling things like that.
It's not a bad look.
They probably still do.
It's not a bad look on Meri.
Oh, okay.
I think it
Big
suits her.
Stevie Nicks energy.
Stevie Nicks energy, and she's kind of coming into her own here a little bit. Single Meri. It's just one step in that direction. The first step on a very long journey towards single Meri.
This is when they start lying to the cameras about where they're at with their relationship, because Kody's telling the producers that they decided that they're not going to discuss it in a forum like this, meaning on camera.
Yes, it's a very private situation for them, and they don't want to talk openly about this because it is so personal. They're keeping it between each other so they can work on things and have that safe space to kind of rekindle their relationship. Until he goes on TV and trashes her just a few seasons later, because then he's constantly telling her in private that they shouldn't be talking about this, and then simultaneously telling producers and cameras, and Suki for that matter, that he's done with Meri and they're basically divorced anyway and she needs to go find somebody else, and he'd be totally fine with that.
I'm actually impressed that it took him that long.
You thought he would have been doing it immediately right after this aired?
Yeah, he's not very good at keeping promises or remembering things that he said, especially keeping secrets. I can't believe he held out for a couple of years.
It is a miracle then, by that standard.
Hi, who here loves when their nails are perfectly done? Me. I'm Sarah Gibson Tuttle, and I started Olive in June because, let's be real, we all deserve to have gorgeous nails, but who wants to spend a fortune or half their day at the salon? And that's why I created the Mani system, so you can have that salon-perfect manicure right at home. And guess what? The best part? Each mani only costs $2. Yep, you heard me, $2. No more $30, $40, $50 salon trips that eat up your day. Now you can paint your nails whenever you want, wherever you want. And trust me, you're going to be obsessed with your nails, and everyone is going to ask you, where did you get your nails done? And here's a little something extra. Head over to oliveinjune.com and get 20% off your first Mani system with code PERFECTMANI20 at oliveinjune.com/PERFECTMANI20. That's code PERFECTMANI20 for 20% off at oliveinjune.com/PERFECTMANI20. You're all set for a nail glow up. Let's get those nails looking fabulous, shall we?
As the days get shorter and the nights chillier, it's tough to keep up your fall workout routine. Thankfully, there's Alo Moves, the app that brings workouts and wellness to the comfort of your home. Join allomoves.com with code ACAST for a 30-day free trial and 20% off an annual membership. From yoga and Pilates to sound baths and meditations, Allo Moves has it all, with classes made to fit every schedule. Find your perfect wellness routine anytime and anywhere with code ACAST at allomoves.com.
Bombas presents unsolicited gifting advice. Number 1, if they say not to get them anything, get them something. 2, underwear is a great gift, just not for your boss. And 3, those absurdly soft Bombas socks and slippers you've been eyeing for yourself, they'll love those. And the fact that for every item you purchase, another is donated to someone who needs it, they'll love that even more.
Go to bombas.com/ACAST and use code ACAST for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/ACAST, code ACAST.
Cue the fireplace and your favorite fall movie. There's nothing better than a cozy evening at home with a glass of First Leaf wine. First Leaf is a personalized wine club that delivers right to your door. Sounds magical, right? They get to know your favorite tasting notes, which varietals you enjoy, and whether you prefer sweet or dry wines. So in every shipment, you get bottles tailored to your unique palate. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/fall to get your first 6 wines for just $44.95 with free shipping.
Holiday magic is in the air, and DSW's got all the shoes to make your season extra merry. Believe, you've got parties to attend and lists to check twice, so DSW is taking care of the details, like gifts to make their eyes all aglow, styles that bring joy to your world, brands everyone wants, like UGG, Nike, Birkenstock, and more, and deals to make your budget bright. Find the perfect shoes for you and yours at a DSW store near you or DSW.com.
They wake up the next day and they head out to start looking at properties, and Meri starts pushing the buttons because it is clear they had a bad night together. Well, not together. Well, in separate beds in the same room.
Near each other in the same vicinity. They both had bad nights. But it's also sleet and snowing.
That's the first thing they argue about. Is it snow or is it sleet?
Well, we have to have that argument because it's the precipitation. It's very important for Kody. The roads are slickery, so you have to be careful.
They have a long drive. They are going 30 minutes outside of Flagstaff into the country, and they're going to argue the entire way.
We had to rewind this so many times, just this little moment in the car, because it was just more classic Kody and Meri bickering that was happening. That Meri takes as playful, like joshing, ribbing between them, that they joke and they banter, but it's not. There's actually a lot of resentment behind it. And what happens is it starts off in kind of a joking manner, but sort of backhanded. And then it gets personal. And then it gets personal as a return. And then it's ping-ponging.
It gets worse.
It keeps getting worse because then I don't want to say anything else to one up that one because I'm not going to be able to take the next one that comes to me.
They were talking about the snow and her being scared of driving in the snow. And she's teasing him about how she might need him to hold her hand through it.
Well, he reassures her first. He pats her hand on the armrest. So he makes physical contact with Meri, which we know is very rare. And he's really laying it on thick for this trip to build up all of the positive associations for Meri and Flagstaff.
Well, as thick as he's able to, because she acknowledged, I feel like the comment was pointing out the fact that he's not going to touch her any more than that.
Right, because he was reassuring her, easy, you'll be fine. And she said, oh, well, maybe you'll have to hold my hand. And he goes, what, would that make you feel safe? I'm going to need my hands at 10 and 2 to make you feel safe on this road, Meri, while I'm driving.
I felt like even though they were talking about safe in the context of the snow, it was also a jab at her for the way that she talks about needing to feel safe in conversations.
Yep, I think so.
Mm-hmm. And then she says, damn, anything to get away from holding my hand.
And Kody's response is, well, stop being the victim. They laugh. Well, Meri laughs, again, to keep from crying, which is kind of her base mode. But you could tell they're so shitty. I think Kody was legitimately upset. He was saying that last one to be mean. And Meri knows I cannot fire back with anything else because it's only going to get worse for me.
Do you think it's because he didn't like that she said that in front of the camera?
Could be. And it's just any sort of personal slight that Kody is faced with. It's taken as an attack on his character, an attack on him in general.
It just escalated so quickly. Teasing him about holding her hand to getting very personal with the stop being a victim thing, which is obviously also about the catfish.
So they get back to something they can agree upon, which is how bad the weather is, and they can't believe how it's still snowing in May, and Meri hates it so much. This is where Kody slights her yet again by mentioning, well, maybe this is just God's message to you, Meri, that you're supposed to be the naysayer of the group. He's trying to set her up to be adversarial about the move, so then that way she's on the out more, and then he has more of a reason not to go to her house?
I think that this was the true intended purpose of the trip. Meri is the biggest naysayer of the group. She's the one who's fine with staying at this point. She's the only one who's bringing up rational points about why maybe it's not a good idea to move. He's not looking forward to starting a new relationship with her in a new place.
And Meri's not excited about Flagstaff, at least not the places that he's taken her. Because when they pull up and they park, she's looking around and taking it all in for what it's worth, which is basically just, it's a country neighborhood out in the boonies.
And there's not one but two realtors in this house.
And if you count Kody, that's 3 then.
Kody never passed a test.
No. But he's hard selling. He's a salesman.
Mm-hmm. They're trying to talk about the weather, which maybe it's not a great day to try to push that topic, that they get 300 days of sun per year.
Because even though it snows probably just as many days out of the year, the sun comes right out and melts it. So I think that would have been a good follow-up question for Meri is, okay, how many days a year do you get snow?
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about sun, but you're only counting the 15 minutes of sun that breaks through in the afternoon after it's been snowing all day,
it snows for the other 65 days straight, and then it's accumulated so much that the sun comes out, but it's not warm enough out to melt it yet. So there's a lot of sun reflecting off of snow for a good part of the year. Maybe?
Is it enough to ski on? Is Meri's knee able to handle that?
Is that what she hates, the snow?
Maybe. She has a lot of personal problems with snow between the skiing accident that took place and when she launched into orbit on the sled at the rental for Christmas.
She's dangerous on snow. That's the problem.
Yeah, this is why it's probably better that she stays in a desert environment.
She is often propelling herself forward into something in which she ends with an injury.
Very much so. Yeah, I'm surprised that her bashing into the side of the house, the rental house there, I don't know how that she didn't sustain an injury on that. But it's good that she didn't.
Lucky sometimes. The unique thing about this property is they have 4 houses all together, but they're not on the same street. They're on separate streets, so they're going to be connected through the backyards.
So they're all backed up. They're all butt-to-butt lots, and Kody's not a fan of butt-to-butt. He really doesn't like sharing backyards.
But for some reason, that's too close for comfort.
It's the privacy. Backyard is where you get privacy. He doesn't mind sharing a front yard that you can see right into, or a driveway. You can look out the window and see somebody's car who's out there. Sure, that's fine. But the backyard's where the privacy happens. Even though, don't their backyards not have walls right now?
Correct.
It's not separated, so how private are the backyards? In Vegas right now, probably
not super duper private.
Not as private as they could be.
He's worried that Meri is going to peer out her window as she's doing the dishes into the back of Janelle's house and see what's going on.
He's worried about a rear window situation with Meri.
And we know Robyn doesn't like blinds.
Especially if they're moving to a higher cost of living area where she's not going to have the additional income for that. And she has to leave her windows completely uncovered to show that their quality of life has improved.
This would be a good idea for COVID, though, wouldn't it? If the backyards had all been connected.
Would have been nice.
Would have been nice. Just a thought. They hate it, though. The location isn't really perfect.
So we're driving out to another spot. We got another spot lined up here in Flagstaff, but Meri's kind of shutting down on the drive over there. She's telling Kody that she's just trying to take it all in. I think she's kind of sick of being berated about all these different things that Kody's pointing out about how Meri would be so jealous that she would be tracking his every whereabout if they did have houses that were close together in this fashion, where they were just in this neighborhood. So maybe it's the fact that he's been putting her down all day.
I don't think that's helping.
Is that doing something with her mood, perhaps?
He's assuming that it has to do with moving.
Maybe it has something to do with seasonal affective disorder, and it's already taking root.
It has to do with you, sir.
She's trying to explain it's different. This is very different than the Vegas move. The Vegas move was exciting because there was a permanency that was kind of built in as part of that. There was an implication of we're not moving again after this. So I don't know where this Vegas was never the permanent solution to anything even came up, because that was the whole narrative they were pushing with the commitment ceremony, was that it is home. This is forever home. These are our homes. We bought and built them, and we're never leaving ever again.
I do kind of wonder if she's thinking about how lonely it would be to live in a rural area like this, in a house, all alone, with no visits from Kody.
She knows she's going to be all alone out here on the frontier, and it's up to her.
They got to take a pit stop for lunch. They're hungry.
So they stop off at the Horseman, and Kody never misses an opportunity to be a misogynist. He has to verbally assault these women at the Horseman who are on horseback to greet them and give them a hard time about how there's no men on horses. Kody would prefer to be greeted by men on horses at the Horsemen, because men are men for Kody. He's a manly man, this Kody Brown.
The whole thing was weird. The fact that they were on horses outside this restaurant was weird. And then the fact that he had something to say to them was weird. The content of what he said was weird. Meri's already uncomfortable all day, making it extra weird. And now we're going to have lunch with Shelby because things are going so great.
Kody could not spend another moment alone with Meri, so he invited Shelby out to lunch with them. Maybe that's why Meri was upset. It was supposed to be Kody and Meri enjoying lunch, but with their conversation at the last showing, Kody probably extended an invite to Shelby just to break it up here.
And it's not going to get better, because he's telling her that he's probably going to have to broach the topic of living in one house with his wives at some point soon, because the cost of construction here, he's probably not going to be able to build 4 houses.
Which Meri wasn't even aware that that was an option, but
he just casually brings it up. Do you think he forgot who he's told that at this point?
I don't know why that came as a surprise to Meri, because they were kind of talking about it and then quickly dismissing it with Christine's kids when Isabel was talking about it. So I don't know, maybe she
probably doesn't think it's a serious thing of consideration.
I think that was it. But then the fact that Shelby knows more about it than Meri, that's gotta hurt.
Another red flag has gone up for Meri.
Yeah, this is something else that she's going to put in her Nancy Drew diary of all of her clues about why this Flagstaff move is fucked.
She, of course, hates the idea of living in one house, just like Christine hated it and Isabel hated it. And she's trying to remind Kody, remember when we did that in Lehigh? It's come to my attention that some of the wives didn't have a great time there. They don't have positive memories of that time. So I would prefer to not do that again, because I'm trying to move forward in my relationships with people. And it feels like the fact that nobody wants to live with me is probably not a good thing. And then you're going to force them to live with me. I don't think they're going to like me more because of that.
But this is a win-win for Kody, because he gets to fix Robyn's problem, give her her dream, and then also put Meri in a situation where she's always going to have conflict with the other people in the house. And so he can constantly tell her he can't improve his relationship with her until she perfects all of her other relationships with everyone else in the house, which he knows is impossible.
And she can continue to be the family scapegoat.
So that works really the best for Kody. So he is all on board with the Biggie Housey at this point.
Not completely, though, because he does have one concern, which is that one big house tends to kill intimacy.
Well, just with the one wife that he wants to be intimate with.
Yeah, that's news to Meri, because she hasn't been intimate with him for a few years. So not sure who he's worried about doing less with, but it's not her.
Well, now it's time to bust out the bagpipes.
Yeah, hard cut. We're back in Utah, and we are wedding planning with Mitch and Aspen.
Don't sound too excited, Carly. We are back in Salt Lake.
Corey Corey has noticed that I let out a deep sigh.
Every time.
Every single time.
And it has been every time we talk about it on the podcast, too. So that's what I was saying. Hey, take it easy with those. I'll intro this one, okay?
I'm not
you take
enjoying.
a break. Yeah, take it easy.
I don't like watching them plan weddings
That's
on this
fine.
show.
That's okay. It's okay. We're meeting up with Dale, the bagpipe player, because I guess he's trying out. Is he trying out? It seems like this is kind of something that's already happening, and they're just picking what songs Dale is going to play at the wedding.
They know one person who is going to play the bagpipes, and
In
it is
Salt
Dale.
Lake City.
Dale already has the job. He just has to know what he's showing up to play that day.
And this happens to be right on theme with their Scottish heritage wedding theme.
Okay, that made me LOL so hard that I guess Aspen felt like the bagpipes would really be the thing to tie it all up.
In case you weren't on board with the theme or you didn't fully grasp what that theme was, I think the bagpipes ought to really bring that home for you.
I don't think she's ever listened to them before.
Not in person, probably. I don't think Aspen was prepared for that.
They were in a basement too. It would be very loud.
Dale did give the warning, hey, they are very loud, but he also brought them down into the basement into the smallest room with the lowest ceiling that he could possibly bring them into to play the bagpipes about 5 feet away from them.
And he warns them, I'm going to play a couple bars. You're going to know instantly if you like it or you hate it.
So we kick it off with Scotland the Brave, of course, which we've already heard today. At first, I thought it was Star Wars when he first had it going there. I thought it was the opening fanfare to Star Wars, but I think that says more about me than it does about the bagpipes. Aspen seems to have Christine's ear for this because she doesn't really tell the difference between any of these songs. They're all starting to sound like the same squealy sound. To be fair, Dale is good at playing the bagpipes. I will give him credit to that because the only thing that's worse than somebody playing the bagpipes is somebody who's playing the bagpipes who sucks at it. I would say that would probably be worse on the list. He's at least playing songs, and it sounds like bagpipes are supposed to sound.
And he knows them. He's got a couple that he's ready to play right away.
Right off the top of the dome, he's got suggestions for you.
Mitch describes them as sometimes sounding like a dying animal.
Yeah, when you first have
romantic
to,
for a wedding.
Yeah, when you have to pump it full of air first, and then you're squeezing stuff and blowing into things. You're trying to keep the bagpipes alive.
All right, what did they pick? They picked Scotland Brave for the ceremony.
Scotland the Brave is the name of the tune.
I missed one word.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misspoke. They're going to play that after the ceremony. And when Aspen's walking down the aisle, they're going to play the Skyboat.
Skyboat. It's a done deal. That's a good pick. That's an easy one. Aspen likes that one. It's slower. It's not as much of a jig. And that's what she can walk down the aisle to.
I don't think that she really liked any of this. I think she's doing this for Mitch.
The only two songs that come to mind for me when I hear bagpipes are Scotland the Brave and Amazing Grace. So I didn't even know you could play other songs on the bagpipes, honestly. Those are the only songs that I've ever heard. I have heard the Star Wars song.
I want to see them play like a modern song. I think that would be very funny. We want a Bridgerton thing.
You want a Friends thing. You want Ross playing
We Are Family?
Celebrate, yeah, or whatever, Celebration. I think that was it.
I don't remember anymore. All right, well, done with that. Thank God. We are going back to Flagstaff, where Meri and Kody have managed to make it to another location without murdering one another yet.
Yeah. Mountains and trees. That's what you get here. It's a lifestyle change. It's not going to be Vegas, but hey, here's a brand new property. No other wife has seen this before. Not even Kody has been here yet, in person probably, but he's been talking to Shelby about it.
So it's kind of special.
Very special. So this is Cottonwood. And the reason why Kody likes it is it's got a good amount of space, but it's a lot less expensive.
And Meri's liking it because it's closer to town, and there's only 3 lots, so she gets to get rid of a wife.
Herself. I guess in that equation, if you're doing that math.
I don't know why we really care about the lot situation since the lots on Coyote Pass are fucked.
Yeah, and doesn't matter.
I understand there's 4 to start with, but we still have to rezone them, so.
Rezone and pay them off to rezone them. So yeah, you're not going to be able to do anything with them anyway. But of all of that time that Kody's been spending research on, there were just a couple of things that slipped through his working gloves.
Again, I don't know why you wouldn't have someone who is an expert in building homes in this area walk the properties with you and explain how much of an endeavor it's going to be to build there.
Well, because that's what they're talking about. This is like on a mountain. There is definitely grading that's happening. There's consideration that's going to take place here for construction purposes, where it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive in terms of building anything on these lots. Plus, you're going to have to clear a ton of trees. It's a lot of logs for Kody to pill, though, so that's only sweetening the deal for him.
Meri is loving the trees. This is where she wants to be. It's not looking good. And Shelby's looking around and seeing that she's got two happy people who are not on the same page as the other two happy people that she brought to Coyote Pass.
Other 2, 3. Well, Kody was one of those happy people.
Well,
so,
she's lost him now.
She's
She's
flipping.
seeing the sail fall through her hands. Go slip through her fingers. There we go.
Yeah, right
Got
through
it.
the moving gloves again. And I love how Meri is clueless as far as cost goes. So they're taking Shelby at her word that, yes, this is a great price.
She's going to tell them everything's a great price.
You're getting such a good deal on this.
They still have to look at Coyote Pass. And Shelby's trying to deter Kody from taking Meri there today. She's seeing the fact that Meri really liked this property. Maybe we should let that high wear off. And also, it's kind of foggy. It's cold. It's not the best day to see the views at Coyote Pass. But he doesn't pick up on what she's putting down.
Kody did not get that message. No, not at all. He's too busy bumping into Meri and putting his arm around her and pretending like he's being sweet to warm her up at Cottonwood. So maybe that's why Meri's so warm and fuzzy here. She got at least 5 hugs here, enough to sustain today at Cottonwood.
He's trying to close the deal very, very clearly.
How did you actually sleep last night? If it didn't feel like your very best rest, then you need to upgrade to the softest, most luxurious bedding from Boll & Branch. Their signature sheets are made from the finest 100% organic cotton and get softer with every wash. Millions of sleepers love their sheets, and right now, you can feel the difference for yourself during their biggest sales of the entire year. Hurry to bollandbranch.com to shop their best offers. Limited time only. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hi, this is Jonathan Fields, host of The Good Life Project, where each week I talk to listeners about investing in their future by increasing their own vitality. But when it comes to those financial goals, whether it be saving for a home renovation, growing your child's college fund, or travel, life can make it difficult to stay the course. By working with a dedicated Merrill advisor, you get a personalized plan and a clear path forward. Having the bull at your back helps your whole financial life move with you. So when your plans change, Merrill's with you every step of the way. Go to ml.com/bullish to learn more. Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do? Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, member SIPC.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
Holiday magic is in the air, and DSW's got all the shoes to make your season extra merry. Believe, you've got parties to attend and lists to check twice, so DSW is taking care of the details, like gifts to make their eyes all aglow, styles that bring joy to your world, brands everyone wants, like UGG, Nike, Birkenstock, and more, and deals to make your budget bright. Find the perfect shoes for you and yours at a DSW store near you or dsw.com.
It is time to hear angels singing. Robyn felt joy radiate through her body on Coyote Pass.
Oh, my.
Whoa.
Or her toes curling?
Her words.
Is she okay?
Her words, not mine.
Yeah, I hope so.
And Meri gets out of the car. Will it be a similar reaction?
Not so much.
No. She just goes...
She made the sound that Carly makes when we get to an Aspen and Mitch wedding planning segment.
So, this is the one everyone's dying over, huh?
Looks like a real shithole to me.
It goes exactly how Shelby feared. At one point, she says it's fine.
I mean, it's fine.
She's not even interested in looking around.
She just prefers the trees instead of a giant meadow. A giant meadow is what she calls Coyote Pass. I think that's being pretty lenient.
It's cold. The angels are not singing. She's ready to get back in the car. Kody seemed a little annoyed that she wasn't even willing to give it a chance. He's trying to draw out a map of the lots in the dirt at one point.
Well, he knows that the big selling point for Meri at Cottonwood was the trees. She makes it abundantly clear. She goes so hard about being surrounded by trees. So, with that logic, Kody is now trying to sell her on Coyote Pass because Coyote Pass also has trees, but look, they're over here in different areas of the property. I'm a little upset because Meri gets mad in season 14 when Kody is trying to put her in the trees. And all he does is point out, you were absolutely gung-ho about being in the trees at Cottonwood. Why would you be against the trees at Coyote Pass? To have him take that piece of information that she was so set on with Cottonwood and apply that to Coyote Pass, I don't understand why Meri gets so upset by that.
It's a mystery. He's really concerned here, though, about how he's going to make sure every wife gets an equal amount of trees, which is clearly a problem because the trees are on pretty much one lot. So what is he even talking about?
Well, most of the other parts of the land, yeah, unless you split them up into really long, skinny segments, but that's going to be very, very strange lots.
Didn't Robyn want trees at one point? I feel like that was discussed.
In season 14, they get into it a little bit more.
Been a long time since we've been there.
It's true. I think Kody just heard the one thing that Meri liked, and then he ran with it, but then he stopped checking in with her on everything else. So maybe that's why she was upset for the most part when it came to Coyote Pass. But I think it's coming down to, these are the two finalists. It's Coyote Pass or it's Cottonwood. Kody actually admits he likes Cottonwood better because Robyn's not here to tell him otherwise.
Now they're in a real predicament because it's 2 against 2.
So now this sets up Janelle to be the tiebreaker, which that has Robyn really nervous, I'm sure. So maybe that wasn't part of the plan. I think this was the curveball.
I don't think it was part of the plan.
That Kody was off script for this, that he started liking Cottonwood, and he did not confer with Robyn about that at first. So now this puts their destiny into Janelle's hand to be the tie-breaking vote, because now it's 2-2.
We're losing control of the group.
It kind of seemed like maybe that was a scenario that could have been curated, but on second thought, yeah, I feel like Kody just got sold on Cottonwood because he saw the benefits of more land, less money, closer to town.
Now they're going to have to tell the other wives about this new property, and they're both concerned that the others aren't going to take the news well. And they don't. Christine is completely floored that Meri did not hear angels sing at Coyote Pass.
It's the most beautiful piece of property that Christine has ever seen anywhere. How could you not like it? To be fair, you saw it in a very different state than when Meri saw it. Meri saw a bunch of clouds. She didn't really get that full mountain view.
They have to be thinking that's just like Meri to be contrarian, that we all liked one thing, so she had to like something else.
She's the complication in this whole scenario.
Robyn is already upset, and then she really starts frowning as soon as she hears that Cottonwood is cheaper.
Cheaper means less quality of life for Robyn. So she doesn't like that.
Then she is staring a hole into Kody because then he says that he loved it. So it's cheaper and he loved it. All this man had to do was take Meri to Coyote Pass and convince her that she should like it because everyone else likes it. And he fucked it up and came back with an entirely different opinion.
Because now it's up to Janelle. And Janelle's just as equally upset because she's like, oh no, I thought this was going to be over. I thought it was going to be 4-1. And I was just going to have to go with this stupid Coyote Pass thing. Now I actually have to plan a trip to Flagstaff to look at these things, to weigh the options and make a decision. Janelle doesn't want to be in that position either. The spot where Robyn really starts getting antsy and nervous is when Christine starts joking that she'd be on board with Cottonwood if it's cheaper as well. So that then takes the majority to Cottonwood. And so Robyn is freaking out.
Mm-hmm. She is not doing well in this conversation. Kody's already referring to Cottonwood as their property. He's imitating the sounds of trains passing in the distance. He's going full Michael Scott on it.
He's giving it the chugga chugga choo choo. The train whistle in the distance.
He has come back to sell a dream that isn't the dream Robyn wants him to sell, and she's not happy about it.
And Robyn is allergic to cheap things. She cannot handle this. She does not want to pursue this any further. But Kody's just so impressed with himself that Janelle, the woman who was vocally adamant about not moving from Vegas, just a couple weeks later, she's totally down with this move to Flagstaff.
I thought that was really gross. It's so narcissistic of him to be bragging about how he's gotten her to forget all of her initial arguments against moving because he's just so convincing.
He's such a good salesman that he's able to convince Janelle to move to a place that has all of her hobbies and everything that she loves that she never thought she'd be able to move to. And he's made that an option for her, and she's taking that opportunity. But at one point, Kody kind of goes off the rails here. That chugga chugga choo choo train kind of derails a little bit. He starts rambling on like he's cutting a wrestling promo or something. Where he's talking like, what you gonna do, brother, when Flagstaff, Arizona runs wild on you? Which essentially his take is, well, if we don't like Flagstaff, I guess we'll just move back here.
Robyn cannot handle that. She blows her top at this point.
Well, she was seeing everything shifting to Cottonwood, and now he's talking about moving back to Vegas as a fallback plan? Sir, you did not run any of this by Robyn.
She is not moving again. Just like she said she wasn't going to move again when they moved to Vegas. But she's really not moving again.
Robyn says that she didn't know what she was getting into by marrying Kody.
That this was like part of the deal.
Like a constant moving scenario. And Christine's face when Robyn said that says it all. Because she's like, well, then who the fuck did you think you married? That is this man.
She knew that they had a history of moving a million zillion times. This is the beginning of pretending that she doesn't know things that she definitely knew.
And to say with your whole heart in this episode that you really need to put roots down somewhere and stay there, and that is your big argument for Flagstaff, go and watch the Commitment Ceremony episode. Robyn is the biggest proponent for pushing the fact that they are putting down roots. They are planting a tree. They literally
put down roots.
Literally putting down roots. And that they're moving here to Vegas, establishing their family, and they're never moving again because they're putting down roots. They're staying here.
That is correct. That's why I still think it has a lot to do with Robyn suddenly not liking Vegas for some reason. This is the closest we've gotten to a real fight between Kody and Robyn on camera.
Yeah, because Cody's even doubling back on, he's making it abundantly clear that the plan was never to stay in Vegas. I don't know where all of you ladies came up with this idea that Vegas was the permanent residence for us. But again, the Kody Brown family mission statement begs to differ.
I forgot that we had an entire section of wedding planning to go through still.
There's another one, yeah. You forgot when we were watching it, too.
Yeah, I guess cake tasting isn't the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not bad. Yeah, we're at Lakai, of course, because we got to ring some bells while we're in Utah.
No one is in a good mood today because Aspen has very gently asked them to shut the fuck up this time so that she can get a word in when she's asked for her opinion of something.
Aspen has been reining the parents in from the last time when they went venue shopping. They were a little over the top with their opinions and sharing that. So the new rule is check in with Mitch and Aspen and let them decide. I appreciate your input, but I don't want it all the time. And today's one of the days where we don't want it.
You have to save up the opinions you share when somebody's planning their wedding. And the food, I would say, is the thing that you should really hold out for. That's when you should start speaking up.
Venue,
whatever.
It is what it is. You'll make that work. A room is a room. It's where the food's going to be. Okay, so let's get that dialed in.
They're bringing out 3 flavors to try. We've got a chocolate mousse, a Samoa, and a hazelnut cake.
Do you mean a Samoa?
Samoa. Yeah, I cannot.
The best of the best.
Permanently.
Cake.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to pick.
The best of the best. So this is the first time that they've ever come to a consensus on anything. The parents are tasting these cakes and they all like the Samoa cake, but they can't even voice it because they've been asked to not give their opinions until prompted.
And now it's sounding like Mitch and Aspen are leaning towards chocolate hazelnut.
Everybody's stressing out because they're thinking they know what they strongly favor, and Mitch and Aspen are going the total opposite direction.
The Chamoka mousse, or whatever the fuck that third one was.
It was chocolate mousse.
Cody called it Chamoka mousse.
Did he? I missed that.
The Chamoka.
The Chamoka mousse. All right, he named something new.
There you go.
I kind of like it.
Which they basically just referred to as it was chocolate cake. Nailed it. Yeah, it's just a very basic chocolate cake. So nobody is interested in the chocolate cake in the running for a wedding cake scenario. It was very plain. This is where I start to draw allegories between the storyline that's taking place, because this seems very low stakes. Does it not? We're choosing a cake, but we're not actually providing an opinion on it. It's just kind of, we're here for Aspen and Mitch to make a decision. Cody gets that, though. Asking other people for their opinions, it's a total pain in the ass. Sometimes he just wants to make a decision, like where he's going to move. But instead, he has to go drag all these other people into that because of polygamy.
That was telling. And also the part where Robyn lies through her teeth about not being able to decide between the hazelnut and the Samoa.
Man, yeah, pretending to not have an opinion.
That's not something we've seen from Robyn before.
Is just, it's a continuation. This is a highlight reel of Robyn doing this all season long so far.
Luckily, Mitch and Aspen end up choosing 2 layers of hazelnut and 1 layer of Samoa. They're going to have a 3-layer cake. So the parents are just going to have to fight everyone to get to that 2nd layer.
Robyn takes this then as an opportunity to speak out against cake on bride violence that has plagued her in her life personally. But this is just another way to take Aspen and Mitch's day and the planning that's going into their wedding and make it about her. She did the exact same thing with Tony and McKelty's wedding too, where she kept giving Tony a hard time about don't shove the cake in McKelty's face.
We're very clear on the fact that she doesn't like that. Save it for when of your kids are getting married.
And I get it. They're your kids too, and all of that fun
stuff.
But
they know.
That's great.
They know that she doesn't like that. So they're going to make their own decisions about what it is they want to do because it is their wedding.
Aspen and Mitch, they're undecided. They're going to feel it out. They're going to see how they're feeling.
I did like that they refused to commit to anything.
Yeah, because it's their choice.
You were told to stop giving unprompted opinions.
And you came
Did you not hear the message?
You came in with a doozy. Let's button it up. Let's keep that to ourselves.
All right, the moms are ready to move to Flagstaff, so Kody has decided that the next step is to gather the kids to talk about checking out Flagstaff.
So we're meeting up at Janelle's house for a family meeting about going and looking at land in Flagstaff. So Kody takes a moment to get everybody up to speed. He's not sure of who knows what, who's been talking about things. The Brown family rumor mill hasn't been churning about the Flagstaff move, according to his knowledge.
It's nice that we didn't have a one-on-one conversation with each child to gently break the news and see how they're feeling about it. We're just going to tell them all in one room, whether they know or not.
So here it is, kids. Vegas is changing. There's a different energy that's here. So we got to go somewhere that suits everyone, weather-wise and beauty-wise. Maybe yummy-wise for Kody, too. I like that Kody did call out the fact that they moved to Vegas to escape their problems. Have we made that connection yet, too, that this is kind of what we're doing with Flagstaff as well?
It turns out their problems follow them everywhere they go.
Yeah,
Isn't that funny?
It's almost like it's not where they live That's the problem. It's almost like the problems are within the house.
All the kids except for Gabe are expressing how they feel about the move. Aurora says she's nervous and anxious. Cody's like, isn't that just like a teenage girl?
Well, Aurora listed off basically every emotion ever. And then Kody immediately invalidates her by saying, well, yeah, that's sounds like being a high school girl.
Dayton asks if he's going to have time to look at NAU's campus while they go on this trip.
Oh, yeah, because by the way, guys, Dayton has a really cool announcement to share, too. He's been accepted to NAU. And of course, everyone's opinions matter about going and looking at this land in Flagstaff, but Dayton did get accepted to a college in Flagstaff.
He is not only accepted, he committed that he's going to be attending there.
And he hasn't even seen the campus yet.
That's all you need to know. They're moving to Flagstaff.
Something's happening. Yeah, this is part of the plan, and this is forcing things into place now. Square pegs into round holes. That was the concern Kody had last episode. Sounds like we're smashing some edges off of this.
Isn't it kind of a moot point to ask for the other kids' opinions when you're going to move wherever Dayton is going because Robyn will not let him go to school far away from home, and he's going to NAU?
And to which I would argue the other thing that's very invalidating is to say, hey, we're opening it up to all of your opinions, kids, and let's go look at it. And then you have kids who do respond negatively to the space. We see it from Gwen, where she's like, I don't really like this.
In the next episode.
So if you're not open to positive and negative feedback, don't open that door. Don't pull at that thread.
I feel bad for Dayton too, because I would imagine it would be very nerve-wracking to commit to go to a college that you've never seen.
I mean, I've done it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah.
Well, family meeting's over, and Janelle noticed that Gabe didn't really say much, so she's going to head up to his room to talk to him a little bit.
They're going to speak in private after the big family meeting blew over here. And Gabe has donned his family commitment ceremony bracelet, which absolutely was a form of protest. Silent form of protest that Kody didn't even recognize, I'm sure.
Didn't even clock it. He had the tree symbol on the cuff in the room in the conversation about moving.
Well, he should have spoken up a few times and maybe scratched his face or waved it in front to gesture and emotion about why they would be moving or any concerns that he would have about the move in general. I feel like there could have been ways to kind of draw a little bit more attention to it, but I still respect him for doing it.
He needed some solidarity. No one else was wearing theirs. We needed mass numbers.
Well, it was only the gentleman who received them.
If you're not going to wear it, fork it over to someone who will.
Maybe he should have just worn all of them.
That would have gotten some attention.
Every single one that he could get his hands on.
He isn't really open to having this conversation with Janelle because he already knows it doesn't matter. So why is she coming here to ask me how I feel? She doesn't really want to know how I feel because I don't want to move.
And Gabe doesn't want to tell her how he's feeling about it because it's just going to make her feel worse about the move. So he's bottling it all up, keeping it all inside of him so that Janelle doesn't have to deal with those emotions.
And she has no idea what to say to him to make this better. At one point, she's talking about how it's going to be a smaller school. Won't that be nice? And he's like, I'm already ranked top 10 out of 800 kids in academics in my school. So no, a smaller school doesn't make me look any better.
And he has his wrestling team. And out of those 850 kids, he has so many friends too. So a smaller school, it's just going to be, it's a loss at that point.
She's also trying to justify the move by saying it's just too hot in the summer to go outside, so Savannah sits in her room all day. I don't think she meant Savannah. Janelle, it's too hot for you to go outside and do the things that you want to do. Don't blame it on little Savannah, because then he gets mad at her. It's not my fault if Savannah sits in her room all day.
Savannah seems to be the type of kid with general interests where she wouldn't be outside all the time.
There's happen to be indoor interests.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm an indoor cat, no judgment.
That doesn't mean that it's bad or inherently something wrong with you or that you're losing out on life. No, it's just different. That's all.
That doesn't really resonate with him as a reason to move. So we're not making a lot of progress in this conversation. And she immediately turns it to her concerns about herself. She's wanting a promise that he's not going to ignore her for months at a time like Hunter did.
And Maddie, and kind of Logan, too. So, yeah, Janelle is very afraid of this prospect here, of this happening again.
Can you make sure the move isn't traumatic for me?
Is what Janelle is asking her teenage son, who she is traumatizing by removing him from everything that he knows. She is instilling trauma on him and then requesting, hey, could you maybe not do the trauma to me, though?
I didn't like that last time.
It didn't
Put a damper on things.
It really didn't work for me.
He ends up giving her a hug before she leaves the room, but he had some tears in his eyes. Did you notice that?
Yes, and I also noticed Gabe's room. He had his D&D Adventurers League recruitment poster on the wall, which is just another reason why I love him so much.
This just ends sad because he's wishing that he could be truthful with Janelle, but he just can't be. I don't think he needed to be. She knows that he doesn't want to move. She knows that. She just doesn't really want to address it because she's not going to change her decision.
Even though she's the tiebreaker now.
Well, if we had somebody vote to stay in Vegas, then Meri's going to change her vote. And now it's 2 against 1 against 2.
Yeah, and then Kody would just flip back to Coyote Pass, so you'd lose.
Still lose. Lose. Next episode, the Browns go to Flagstaff to look at properties, and they are split over which one to buy. Robyn and Christine prefer one, and Meri and Kody another. Janelle is the tiebreaker, and her decision is surprising. They make an offer, and the response is sobering.
They forgot they do credit checks, so it becomes a problem very quickly, I'm assuming.
Thank you for listening. If you want to support us, the best way to do that is by subscribing to the podcast and leaving a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify.
Be sure to chat with us about the episode on our Discord channel by joining our Patreon, patreon.com/survivingpod.
Stay tuned, share with friends. See you next time.
Hey, it's Mark Maron from WTF here to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. And I'm sure the reason you're listening to this podcast right now is because you chose it. Well, choose Progressive's Name Your Price tool, and you could find insurance options that fit your budget, so you can pick the best one for your situation. Who doesn't like choice? Try it at Progressive.com. And now, some legal info. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.